So the three of you are about a week on your journey now, and a lot of it has been through like trails and actual legitimate legitimate civilization. So you've been able to like sleep in beds and stuff like that, and you've acquired supplies along the way, and you've kept probably a pretty good handle on disguise. But I want Oscar. You are, I assume,
yes,
attempting to conceal your movements to some degree. Perhaps, conceal the movements of a small squad-based unit.
I say that what we are doing would fall somewhere under a stealth check.
Okay, all right. Then
I'm trying to keep. When we stop, I'm making sure that no one's getting chatty.
Right.
Sure. No one's. He's doing whatever he can to minimize the attention that they're drawing.
And the reason I'm asking you is because you would be the one to be doing this. I don't think the other two are apt at disguising themselves or, preventing information from being leaked. So if you could roll me a stealth check, please. And
with
I think that
because Dex is not appropriate.
Yeah, based on how you just described that, I would say charisma.
Not wisdom. As if he's dealing with things in the moment, it's not going to be all charisma.
Sure, you can roll wisdom. Sure, I'll give it to you. You did mention a lot of people involved there, but yeah, no. I'll give
but it's more like it's not talking to people. It's
keeping away
entirely
from people.
The opposite.
Sure. Yeah. Okay, not bad. You do perfectly average.
I do only have a 0.
Yeah, no, you do perfectly average. So yeah, you're like, if anyone is well skilled, they can probably trace your efforts. But they would be slowed down and hindered quite a bit because you're doing a good job. Not a great job, but you're doing a good job at keeping your presence unknown. But like, there's always this thing about like pulling a gurney out of the back of an SUV that like that one person is like, that's really weird, whatever. And then like goes off about their business, and that would be the person that like, maybe says something offhandedly to their friend who says to 3 other people like, what Gertrude saw the other day, right? Like, information like that is almost impossible to conceal. And somebody would have to try hard, though, to connect the dots on that. So you do pretty good at it. Go. So you've been driving around in this grab vehicle, which I don't know if you have vehicle grab, but right now it's not. You do? Fantastic.
Heck yeah, hence why do you think I picked grab?
So you get to the first portion where you guys have to break from the trail. And start driving over the land. And so I'll give you a roll just to make sure you don't completely botch it. And cause complications. And if you roll well enough, it'll be the only check you kind of have to make on it, because we'll just assume, unless anything happens, like, I don't know, you're in combat or something, we'll have to change it up. So go ahead and make me a vehicle grab check with dexterity, which is the most appropriate attribute here. Nailed it. Yeah, so you get behind the wheel and you just understand. You get the feel for the vehicle very early on, and you're able to maneuver quite well through the terrain, especially even when you go off-road and kind of like start skirting along the tundra, and kind of through the very sparsely sparse bits of forests that you pass through. Dr. Fisher. I need you to roll me another Culture Yuri Pylos check with intelligence. Okay. 8 is decidedly slightly above average. So Dr. Fisher, and you've probably never encountered yourself and probably only learned about it in school, but you know that, like, There are predators on Eurypylos. Now, there's no native predators. Nothing evolved from this planet because there's no native biosphere here. But things that are introduced into certain environments can inevitably become part of the habitat. And so like your story with the great wolf, you know that there are a variety of animals that kind of live abound in the tundras, and not so close to where you are, but probably in the future when you start traveling a little bit deeper and deeper into the tundra area, there may be things you need to look out for. Some options for you. Packs of wolves are not super uncommon. Large bears are not super uncommon. Snow leopards and cats are not super uncommon. Probably a Wolverine-like animal.
A honey badger.
Yeah, the honey badger. But I think with an 8, you also know a rumor that maybe you've held on to. The creatures, since there is no native biosphere and they don't have a lot of prey, per se, are very aggressive. So it's advisable that if you're out kind of roughing it, as it were, you have kind of hardened enclosures where you can either sleep or tend to your business. The ice miners actually travel in excuse me. They travel in up armored ATVs. And that's all-terrain vehicle, not like a buggy, like an actual armored APC vehicle. For various reasons, one being, the zombies, but two being the wild animals, and they can actually sleep in there. And so once you guys get into the roughing it portion, it's very advisable to kind of stay in the vehicle as much as possible, and make sure to be aware of your surroundings. Cool.
Yeah, I'd probably tell that to the other two. Just, hey, here's a few things we may encounter. Be careful.
Great, add it to the list.
Add it to the list. Okay, fantastic. So, the group of you gets to a point, and you've stocked up on batteries and stuff to keep the grab vehicle running, but that's not an issue. I'm not worried about that. And about a week has passed now. And you're far enough away from civilization that through the sunroof that the SUV inevitably has, when you're at night, you can see the vast array of stars above you, and it's actually quite beautiful. And you begin to see these kind of flashing colors, almost like Aurora Borealis, but not green. Maybe a couple of varying colors in there, some blues and some pinks, but it's very faint. It's not super bright. Dr. Fisher, you know that these are called the lights of heaven, and it's kind of like a thing for the religious entities on your planet, at least, that the lights contain the souls of the fallen or the passed away on Eurypylos. And so, I don't know, maybe you regale a story about that as you guys are traveling along. Or maybe you don't, I don't know. It might be a little morbid in the current circumstance.
Yeah, I'm certainly not in anyone's...
Good graces? Is that what you were going to say? Okay, cool. With the revelation of animals as well, Oscar, it's just another thing to kind of worry about, right?
Animals he is fully prepared to deal with.
Okay, good. I like that.
That sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, you've now got a helicopter wing at your disposal.
You
not with me.
do
no.
not, because none of you have big boy weapons.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just lucky that I left with my field uniform and not just a jacket this time.
Yeah, totally.
Because that might have gone very differently.
Indeed. All in all, though, your trip has been actually fairly pleasant, for all things considered. Nice, quiet, tundra countryside. And I think that also overnight, in addition to the lights of heaven, you also see that in, like, the very far distance, kind of in the direction you're traveling, but maybe off to the east or west, you see these huge machines that tower above kind of the horizon. And you can see them because they're lit up kind of like a Christmas tree, and you know that they're the ice mining machines that kind of like trawl the upper peninsulas of the planet, like harvesting ice, and then the caravans bring it back when they have a full load, and it's kind of that. But they work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so it's kind of this weird, like, you can see these monstrosities just, like, barely moving on the horizon very far away from you. You would estimate that one of these things is probably as tall as, like, maybe like a 7 to 10 story building. Quite big, as they kind of move through the ice fields, harvesting what they will. With their very bright lights kind of illuminating the entire area around them. They actually have, like, this little... have you ever seen anything with, like... if you ever, like, been out on a boat and you see, like, the corona of the cities, just the light ring, the light halo above everything? It's kind of what you see from these things. So, while this is all going on, is there any, like, conversation that's being had, or, like, is there any preparation? Like, are you meticulously, like, checking your sword to make sure it's still there, Oscar, or are you, like, running through scenarios in your head, Dr. Fisher, of, like, what to do when you get there?
I think during the trip, Oscar would, as they're getting closer and closer, he's going to feel compelled to talk, like, specifics. So he's probably running through scenarios like, all right, okay, if they're hostile, we need to, when we make contact, hopefully we see them first. If they appear to be hostile, we need to try and pick off one on the fringes and get out. If they're, if they seem to have reason left, then maybe I should approach and you should hang back with the vehicle. So, like, so forth, to try and just, like, even if it's not going to do any good, because they can't predict what's, you can't predict what's really going to happen. He's trying to at least make sure that everyone is thinking about, like, real world issues with this, and not, the I suppose
overwhelming question of morality.
Yeah, like the emotional and philosophical questions, because they've committed to doing this.
Right, totally.
Now it's a matter of making sure that they don't get killed in the process.
I think I would get in on that conversation. Like, if they do seem at least somewhat reasonable, would it not be best if I spoke to them, because I'm able to provide them with information on these cities and whatnot, which would be a good barter item.
And how do we determine if they're reasonable? If you get close enough to talk, that may be all they need.
Indeed, but even though I have led you on, I do feel some like regret for having brought you into this. So even though it was based on my whims, having it me hold the highest weight isn't a bad thing.
In a practical sense, if you get picked off, this all goes to, this all goes to shit. It's not about whether you feel responsibility for where we're at. Don't think there's anything wrong. It's more about making sure that what we're doing here is actually successful. Would you agree?
You do say some good points.
Does Gogo interject at any point, or are you just like white knuckling the steering wheel?
I feel like they're just white noise to her currently.
Sure.
And she's just focused on the one thing that she does know how to do well and feels like she can help in this situation in doing, and that is driving this damn vehicle as fast as she possibly can to the location that she needs to.
Yeah.
It's pretty much all her...
Maybe squishing some wolves on the way.
Yeah, that's her one-track mind.
Okay.
But I feel like she's very much in her own head, so if somebody addresses her specifically, she wouldn't ignore them, but she's just gonna perfectly content letting them just friggin' chat and...
Oh yeah, occasionally it's like, okay, well, we'll try and make contact, and Oscar would say, go, just keep a set distance from us in the vehicle, be ready to take off if we need to get out of there. Especially be ready if you see us running back to you with the body. That sort of thing.
Yeah, be extra ready in that.
Be extra ready if you see more than one of us.
If you see the scene from Pirates of the Caribbean where
Jack that's what
Sparrow
I'm
is
picturing.
running from the natives.
The hundreds of cannibals. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's accurate.
I think that Gogo would just say, well, have I let you down yet?
This would be a bad time to start.
Then we won't start.
Good.
All right. So, I said a week had passed, but I meant like 5 days, basically, right before you guys are due to arrive at the coordinates given to you. And Dr. Fisher, you realize that, like, upon a day of awakening, that you're going to arrive there today. Like, at the coordinates you were given, like, in about half a day you're going to get there. And so, I want all three of you to make me perception checks based on wisdom. So I want to see what you see as you approach the coordinates of this location.
Jeez.
Okay.
I'm going to reroll.
This would be a fun...
First reroll of the night.
Man, I rolled a 1 and a 2.
I mean, you could have rolled a 1 and a 1.
That's a good... So I see 7 is the highest there.
Yeah.
Gogo, are you going to hold on to your reroll?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Just in case.
I honestly don't know I can do much better than that.
Okay, yeah.
So.
So, and perhaps because your eyes are kind of used to being trained to look at this type of landscape, Oscar is like... Oscar, you're probably 2 on point, like you were talking about earlier. There's only so many things you can be on the lookout for, right? So, like, you're looking out for animals, and you're looking out for that thing that Fortune told you about, and you're looking out for, undead horde of zombies going to kill you, and you're, like, you're like going down to things like monitoring the battery gauge, making sure you have enough battery. Like
It's
you
a
like
pretty long list at this point.
yeah, you like look at Chan and make sure Chan is still there. Like you make sure that you like lock your door with your
Oh god, we
elbow.
forgot him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so you're distracted. You don't really get a whole lot. Go-Go, you yeah, exactly. It's Home Alone.
Yeah.
Home Alone 30. Lost on your Pylos. And Go-Go, like you said before, you're kind of like laser focused in on getting to the thing. And you're, steering wheel in hand. You're probably bleary-eyed at this point because you've been driving for probably extra hours. And Dr. Fisher, you're like looking around. You kind of know what you're looking for, and you begin to get into a landscape that is a little more rocky. There's less ice sheet and more like kind of mountainous or like rocky, craggy terrain scattered around. And as you're kind of like going through these, and they're a little ways off from either side of you. Dr. Fisher, you catch a glimpse of what might have been a bipedal figure, like as you flash by, like some of these crevices and stuff on the side. But you're not 100% sure. Do you say anything about it?
Yeah, definitely. Wait, what was that? Was that one of them?
What was what?
I thought I saw something over there.
Do you think you saw something, or did you see something?
I'm 60% sure I definitely saw something.
He pauses while he does the math in his head, and he's
Cannot dedicate higher brain function to this right now.
says, is this what we're looking for, or do we continue on? In your estimation.
You're about 2 miles away from the coordinates.
Okay, that isn't.
So I would certainly have a map up and know that.
Yeah,
also.
absolutely.
So
the navigation on the SUV probably like at that moment says, "You will reach your destination in approximately 3 minutes."
All right. So Oscar says, if it was a scout, maybe we should swing back and see if we can find any signs. Provided they're still intelligent enough to have scouts.
That's true, but if where we're going is a group of the sentient ones, then we don't really want to be driving up to their holding like we own the place.
Yeah. Go, roll me a vehicle grab check with dexterity.
Oh, what? I'm sorry.
Roll me a vehicle grab check with dexterity. Good. Go slams on the brakes, and you hear the grav engines as they flip upwards and blow this wave of snow in front of you. And as the snow begins to settle, brings the vehicle to like a complete halt. You're both like in this conversation taken aback. Like Chan probably like rolls forward a little bit and slides into the center console and just like lightly kind of bumps it. And as the snow settles, you see standing in front of you is this figure who, by all intents and purposes, looks human. The skin on this individual is black, almost looks like it was burned or charred, and is wearing very little clothing, similar to like tattered tribal wear. And you can see that in her outstretched hand, kind of to the side, is this long bladed weapon. And her
there
left
can
hand,
be only one.
yeah, her left hand is holding up like the universal symbol for stop, and she's standing like maybe 4 feet in front of the vehicle.
Good thing I stopped.
Jesus fucking
Oscar.
Christ.
Yeah. What's like, Gogo? What is your immediate reaction?
String of expletives. No coherent thought.
After a couple of seconds, so Oscar kind of gives her a sweep, like he assesses this figure briefly standing in front of them, and he says, Gogo, let Fisher and I out, and then back the vehicle up a couple meters. You got that?
Sure. What's the sign to run this bitch over if it goes south?
Fisher will start running, and I will appear beside you.
Gogo just nods, like, of course, that makes sense.
Yeah, seems to make the most logical sense. So the two of you, you pop the doors open. Like, how do you disembark the vehicle?
I step out first.
Right. Yeah. You don't reveal the goods.
Yeah. So Oscar, I don't know how we're sitting in the vehicle. I don't think it matters. But he turns to Fisher and he says, "Let me go forward first, but you do the talking."
Agreed.
And he pauses. He pauses and he just stares at Fisher, and he says, "Take another breath, and then do that."
Yeah, Dr. Fisher, this is probably the first time you haven't seen a cadaver. But you recognize immediately what this is.
All right. Let's go.
So yeah, Oscar has basically his sword is available but not visible. So it's at the ready. But he's not, he steps out, probably has to jump down a couple of feet from the grav vehicle.
Yeah. Still like humming in midair.
Yeah. And he walks, he does the universal "don't wreck my day," like hands up.
Hands up, sure.
Hands in front, like palms out, hands
Right.
in front of him,
Yep.
not up. But he waits for Fisher to then jump out and then starts walking toward the figure.
Yeah, you stand like in front of the vehicle. Because again, she's like right there in front of the vehicle.
Yeah.
Perhaps only like 4 or 5 feet away. And so you
Right.
kind of like sidle in front of the vehicle. And Gogo, I assume you begin to reverse.
Never taking my eyes off of her.
Yeah, you reverse like a couple of feet back. And so it's kind of like the vehicle and then maybe 10 feet. And then Oscar and Fisher, and then maybe 5 more feet, and then there's the woman, maybe. And I think as that happens, the woman who she's staring kind of at you, and her eyes are, they look kind of glazed over almost, and you can see that there is frost hanging from her eyebrows, which are kind of patchy. And her eyelashes, which are also kind of patchy. And again, she's got this like charred bird skin almost. And
Are we having like a Game of Thrones crossover here?
I mean, yeah, sure.
Fucking White Walkers.
And she takes her hand down from being in the stop position. She puts 2 fingers in her mouth and she whistles. And the two of you kind of like, you have that moment where you glance at each other and then you start to look around. And you see kind of crawling out of the rocks to the like far off a little bit to the left of you. You see like a couple of figures like poke their heads up. And against the white landscape they stand out with this blackened charred skin as well. And then you see a creature kind of step out, big, muscular in the front. Big, broad-chested, 4-legged animal. And as it gets closer, you can hear this low kind of rumble, just this... And you can see that its mouth, it has these two very large fangs that protrude down past the bottom jaw. Looks kind of like a saber-toothed tiger. Kind of. Would be an apt description. And it's has a piece of, like, rope that is in the hand of another being. And that other being, actually, you can see on a leather belt around its waist, you can see there is a sidearm that's currently holstered. And you can see that the individual's, like, straining to hold back the beast that it has in its roped grasp.
Mm-hmm. Fisher, what are you wearing?
Apart from a lot of kind of warm clothing, it's...
In terms of things that give you AC. I don't care what you're wearing. I want to know what your AC is.
Currently an almond undersuit, because I wanted to be as inconspicuous as possible.
Okay.
True. Go. You glance at the rearview mirror quickly, and you see that there are three individuals kind of a ways back, maybe right about, like, coming up from where Dr. Fisher said, "What is that?" Right? And you can see there's one that has, like, a man, it looks like a combat rifle almost, kind of like at the low ready. There's another one that has, like, a what looks like a crude bow and arrow with, like, an arrow knocked in it. And then there's another one with this long piece of, like, wooden with you can tell it's got, like, a metal tip on it. It's a spear. And all three of them are kind of coming up, but they've taken up a position, like, kind of far back from the vehicle. And as all this is happening, and when everything is, like, kind of happening, the woman figure in front of you, she speaks to you. She says, "What have you come here for, living ones?" And that's a great place to go see what Fortune's been doing for a little bit. So, Fortune.
Yeah.
You head over to the lawyer's office, I assume, at some point, right?
I do.
To do your investigative work, and you walk in, you see the same. Well, you don't see the same man, but the male receptionist is behind the desk, and he's clacking away, and he greets you, and he says, "Ah, yes. What can we do for you today?"
Same story I gave the medical place. Like, hey, I just got this person that was filed as a missing persons report.
Yeah,
I'm just
sure.
doing some investigation to see what I can about.
Yeah, and he says, "Ah, very well. Officer, can I see your credentials, please?"
Sure. And I don't know. I pull out some paperwork. It's not what he wants.
Sure. Yeah. You like it's like your ID, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like your ID. You, like, flash it, and he goes, "Ah," and, like, he says, he kind of looks at it, and he's like, "Ah, well, as you know, I'm going to need more than that. Perhaps."
Well, I mean, I'm not an officer. I'm just doing some help for a friend.
Ah, yes.
So.
Well, you
If
understand
you know
that
anything.
that's we have full confidentiality of all of our clients here, and I cannot give you any information if you do not have a reasonable right to it.
I mean, that's fine. I was just trying to get some information, but thank you anyways.
Yes, have a wonderful day.
I walk out and, like, fucking dig.
Yeah. But the good news is nobody else probably
Yeah.
got the information either, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Unless for some reason they have credentials
they
that
have
they can look
credentials.
up that, right?
Yeah.
So when you strike out pretty hard there, where do you go back and monitor the hotel?
At this point, I would probably go back to the hotel and go inside and try to talk to the receptionist lady.
And is this the hotel that you're staying at now, or is this the one that you
No.
left?
The one I left.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So you go back there, and it's actually probably a man this time. It's probably like a shift change or something.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's a different person, and he says, "Ah, yes, sir. How can we be of assistance?"
Let's see, who do I want to ask about? I'd probably ask if about any Shriek that have been staying here.
Ah, good, yeah. And I think he kind of like looks puzzled for a moment. And he's like, no, not in recent days. Perhaps about a week ago there was one, but I cannot recall any large amount of information on him or her.
That's fine.
Sorry,
Has anybody else?
Know.
That's fine. Has anybody else been asking about Shrek? I've been trying to find someone, and it just hasn't been helping out. So, if anybody else has seen this person or of anything, that would be helpful.
No, not that I can recall. At least not to me.
Okay. And when do you guys is there someone else who works the desk here, or are you the only one? Or?
There is Gloria. She works the evening shift. She should be on, and he kind of like checks the clock, and he's like, "Oh, perhaps about 2 hours now. My shift is almost over."
Well, that's great. Maybe I'll check back with Gloria. Thank you very much.
Yes, very well. Have a pleasant stay, sir.
Thanks. And then I'd walk out of the hotel,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'd come back and sit inside like the lobby, like in a corner somewhere, maybe try to be unnoticed.
Okay. So you walk out of the hotel, and maybe you like pace around a little bit. And
is there like a lobby to this hotel? Sure.
Yeah. You were probably It's like an extended stay, so there's probably like a small like area to go in with a desk and maybe like a chair or two, but it's not actually like a full-on hotel reception desk. It would probably be awkward to kind of like wait in there, I think, with him, like, and wait for Gloria for 2 hours.
No, that's fine. Then I'll go back to the Johnny Rockets.
Okay, yeah. So you head over there to the Johnny Rockets, and as you like go to put your hand on the door, you get this like tingle up your spine.
Mm-hmm. Like I'm about to be shot with the Valiant Armed Rifle.
Maybe. I need you to roll me a what kind of check do I want here from you? Roll me a
evasion save.
No, actually, I think I want a survival check. With wisdom. Holy shit. Awesome.
Wow. That's
Awesome.
really high.
Okay.
Holy cow.
Yeah, so you immediately, you feel this, and you felt this before, right? Like, you know what this is. This is, you're being watched. Like, you know that for a fact. And you do the quick, like, you leave your hand for a little bit on the handle of the door, and then you do like a quick like look inside, and you can see sitting on one of the tables. In fact, it's probably the table you've been frequenting the most. Like, you probably bounce around because you want to be smart about it, but sitting on one of the tables is a large, wide-brimmed straw hat. And there's no food. There's no menus. There's nothing there. Just the hat is sitting there. And so you look again, and you see, kind of back by the jukebox, because of course this place has a jukebox.
Of course.
You see an individual kind of in this large baggy clothing, leaning up against the wall, and he's got his left eye covered with this cloth that kind of comes over his whole head, and all you can really see of him is like the cut from the bridge of his nose down his right eye and like across the top of his cheek, and then up like barely into the hairline and back over. He's wrapped up that only that eye is visible, basically. And then he's in this like bulky cloth robe with this trench coat on, with the collar like pulled up. And his head is like, with all the wrapped cloth and stuff, it's very like compressed and, almost seems exposed without something on it.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so you immediately identify that this, you can see like just kind of barely, he's doing the thing where he's looking down but also kind of looking at you at the same time.
Yeah.
What do you do?
I go in, I sit down, I sit down at the same booth as Hat's at.
Okay,
and then sit there.
Sure. So there's a long moment, and you realize probably quickly that he was maybe hoping for a distraction or something, but it's clear that you're onto him, or her, or it, who knows.
Yeah.
And so after a while, you see a waitress come over, and the individual kind of bends down and says something, and you can see the cloth around his mouth kind of move, so you know that he's speaking.
Okay.
And he comes over, and he grabs his hat, and he puts it like off the table, and he puts it on his head, and he says, in a very kind of metallic voice, he says, "Mind if I join you, stranger?"
Seats open.
Yeah, and so I think he very kind of fluidly sits down, and he kicks like a boot up on like he's like kind of lounging across the bench, and one of his boots is like sitting up on it's a cowboy boot and it's got like a spur on it, and roll me a culture world check. Which the world is your place of residence, right? Also, I noticed on your sheet, I think it says 0. It should be a +1, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah, the culture of your own world always starts at a 1.
All right.
With intelligence. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, luckily his persona is recognizable. Although you don't know this for sure, but you think that this is the Claris mercenary that goes by the name Strawman.
Okay. Back to my notes.
And after a few minutes' time, two whiskey neats are brought over from the bar area and set on the counter or on the table in front of you. And he like slides his over to himself and kind of swirls it around in his hand. And you notice that the hand that he's swirling it around in appears cybernetic. Although it does have like skin over it, it's clearly like silicone.
Okay. I'd probably pick it up and be like, you gotta be careful with the whiskey here.
I think he says, "Well, it does not affect me as much as others."
All right.
And you see him, so he does a thing where he actually like puts it up to his nose to like smell it, and then sets it back down without taking a drink.
All right. Like, so, is there something I could help you with?
I think he probably says, "There is something that we can help each other with."
What do you got for me?
I have a job to do while I am here. I am hoping that you can be of assistance. You seem a capable sort.
Depends on what you need done.
Something that is perhaps in your wheelhouse.
Do you always beat around the bush this much?
Generally, yes. It is seen as bad, and you can see like there's like a process happening where he's searching for a word, and he says there is bad stigma around being too blunt with people.
All right. Well, what do you got?
I am looking for some ones. I believe you may know them.
I know lots of people.
Yes, well, perhaps you have traveled with these individuals.
I've traveled with lots of people.
Yes, well, perhaps it would be easier if I gave you an identifying picture.
That would help a lot, yeah.
Yeah. And so you see him like kind of reach into his pocket and pull out this It's like it's not a compad, but it's like a data storage device that has like a little like hologram projector. And he slides it over and presses the button, and you can see the 2 images of it's got 3 images, but he pulls up the 2 that is Oscar and Dr. Fisher. And he's like, "Do you know these individuals?"
Shriek? They're hard to identify. I'm not sure if I can tell you exactly who that one is. I've met a couple. But I can say I've met some Shriek, traveled with a couple. And the other guy? Nah, I don't know who he is.
Interesting. Well, perhaps my sources of information were incorrect.
Maybe.
I apologize for wasting your time.
What was that other photo you had? I saw you had 3.
That is a 3rd individual. That is not my current quarry.
All right.
And he picks up the whiskey again, and he pulls down the cloth, and you can see that his lower jaw is cybernetic. As he pulls it down, his upper lip is like a normal human face, but his jaw is cybernetic, and he kind of dumps he does this awkward like where he's holding the cloth down, and like you hear the cling of the glass hitting the metal jaw, and then he like tilts his whole body back to drink the whiskey, and it all dumps into his throat. And then he puts the cloth back up and sets the drink down. And he says, "I apologize for inconveniencing you.
No problem.
Enjoy your beverage."
Well,
do you say anything?
yeah, I'm like, thanks. And could I get a name? I hate drinking with strangers.
Yeah, and I think he's got his hat, and he kind of like stands up and he tips it a little bit, and he looks at you, and you can see now like there's a slight glow behind the cloth. It's like this reddish dull glow, and he says, "The name's Arthur." And he walks out.
Yeah, I give him a huge smile.
Yeah. And so I assume you drink the whiskey, or do you not?
No, I casually sit there and sip.
Yeah. And the individual leaves, never to be seen again by you, perhaps.
Maybe. Who knows?
So, I think with that scene, we jump over to the others. Have you figured out what you're gonna do yet? I gave you a few minutes because I wanted to see if you guys were going to figure out what you wanted to do.
Do you think there's anything I could do that would put a nice bow on this situation?
I don't know, Oscar. What do you think? She asked you a question.
And Fisher has yet to answer her.
Are you the resistance?
Yeah, and I think that you see there's like this head cocked to the side. She's like, "Why do you ask?"
As I may able to help them with their current plight.
Yeah, I think that you see what's left of her eyebrow kind of raise up. And she says, "Thing for thing. What you have that we need."
I have information on various locations that you may wish to do as you wish.
Wow. I think that she says, "What do you get in return?"
We wish for you to infect one of our comrades.
Yeah, I think she actually, like, you see her waver for a moment, And she maybe even, like, takes a step backwards from you. Because she's, like, pretty close to you. She probably, like, takes a step back from you, and she, like, looks very confused. And she says, what? Why do you want this? What trickery is this?
He is very injured. I have heard of your resilience of your kind. And this should be able to save his life. Or what it may be.
Yeah, and I think that there's a long pause. And we just hear that low hum, just a... of the beast to your right. And there's a moment where you can see, like, the gears are turning. Oscar, do you say anything or do anything at this juncture?
No. No. He is waiting very patiently.
Okay.
This is all going according to plan so far.
Oscar's assuming taking up the role of never mind.
Yeah, Oscar also doesn't know how he's going to use these people for his ascension yet, so he's, biding his time.
Yeah, totally. So after a very, very long, kind of arduous, very pregnant pause, she evaluates you and she says, You will comply with demands for secrecy?
I'm definitely not going to be telling the government about this meeting now.
I think at that point, Oscar speaks up and says to the figure in front of them, he says, anything but secrecy in this would secure our demise as well.
Yeah, and I think she looks and she says, What is you?
Just someone with a wounded comrade.
Question unanswered. Secrecy it is. And you see she looks and she kind of gives like a head nod to one of the people off to the right. And they come running over and they have like a brief conversation, and they pull out one of them like reaches into like a satchel that they were carrying, and pulls out what looks like these cloth strips. And the girl that was addressing you, she grabs three of them and like tosses them at you, and they kind of fall short. And she says, "You cover seeing eyes, and that one." And she kind of like motions to go.
Yes, we understand. As I look towards Oscar for confirmation.
He says, we can't leave our wounded unattended. This will not work. One has to stay.
I think that she says, she looks and she says, "Death to those who stay here. Dangerous enemies. Cannot leave people here."
Then we also bring injured party.
I think you can see her like thinking it through. She's like,
I think so. And
Guys, is everything
Jordan,
okay?
Jordan, would it be reasonable to say that if I have my mask on, I can do some sort of like internal comms to Gogo?
I
Like,
mean, and I have my cybernetic comms, so
like
I don't.
without this figure hearing us?
The problem is you still have to speak, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's always been the way that we've always.
Yeah, you
played
can
it
totally
is
have
that-
open comms. You don't have to, like, talk into a comm pad.
No,
right?
the way that we've always played it is if I have the mask on, it's being played through a speaker.
I thought we only did that with the suit, to be honest with you.
No, okay, that's fine if you don't want to do that. But I think so. If that's the case, then Oscar,
You could, like, try and type something in your pocket or something like that if you wanted.
no. He puts a finger up, like universal. Hang on, and
Yeah.
it, like, physically turns maybe a couple of degrees to indicate he's talking to the driver,
Sure.
and says, "Gogo, you and Shane have to come with us. How badly do you want this?"
Come with us? They're taking us
Us.
somewhere?
Yes.
I mean, we've come this far, haven't we?
Take the keys.
Yeah. So, do you power down the vehicle?
So I think there's, like, the briefest of moments where Gogo's hands grip the steering wheel really hard, and it looks like she's about to rev the engine, but then her hand releases and she goes to the keys and she turns it off. And she, like, holds up her hands and, like, kind of slowly gets out of the car to make it look like, obviously, like, she was complying and not doing anything
Yeah.
shady.
Okay.
And she makes to go to the back to get Jan.
Yeah, and I think the you see the three individuals back there. They kind of, like, proffer weapons at you a little bit, but they don't do anything because they haven't been ordered to, right? So you lift open the hatch, and you slowly kind of wheel Chan out, and you can see, like, some of the ones behind her. They're doing that thing where, like, they lean to the side, like, and up, and try to see what you're doing a little bit. They're still a ways back. They're maybe, like, 20 feet behind you. And you get Chan out, and you get him onto, like, the it's kind of, like, very packed, like, ice and snow right here. So it's actually not super difficult to, like, wheel Chan or drag him along a little bit. And do you like go up to where the others are?
Yeah, I wheel him around the front of the vehicle and just walk over to them
Yeah.
really slowly.
And I think that you see the person that the individual that brought up, like, the satchel and the stuff. They're having, like, a conversation between each other, and the one that's been talking to you, she turns around. She says, "What need in exchange for secrecy?"
Fisher.
His species is called a Shriek. Of course, you may not have seen many of the races due to the government on this planet.
What function does he perform?
He is our security. As you can see, I am not weak, I am not strong at all. So he helps me pick up things.
You pick things up and put them down.
He speaks, he is intelligent. That one who does not speak. And she looks at Chan. She says, He is the one you wish to be. And, like, kind of, like, spits out the word, like, given the infection?
That is correct.
And, like, you see her, she looks at the individual next to her, and the individual just kind of, like, nods the head a few times, says, 1, no secrecy, but no weapons. Not all of the clothing. Minimal. Will be guarded.
We understand. Just, you help us, we help you.
Cover seeing eyes. All but one.
Yeah, I slowly pick up the cloths and hand them to each of us.
So which one of you is not going to be blindfolded? And relieved of all of their items?
I'll
Wait, is both of that not an option? are both of those so we get to see and keep our stuff?
Nope, that is not an option. You either get to keep your stuff or you get to see.
Well, Gogo doesn't have any stuff, so
Yeah.
if you guys want to keep your stuff, it makes sense that she can see, because like I said, she doesn't have anything for them to take, so it's not like we'd be losing anything.
Sure. Oscar makes a big show of producing his sword and then putting it into the grav car.
Sure.
Yeah, I essentially do the same.
Okay, cool. So
And
the
I
two...
think that Gogo makes motion to, like, since she's the one pushing Chan, then she's obviously the one who cannot be led and needs to see in order to do so.
Right.
So.
Yep. Yeah, and so then you begin a procession, and you guys can, like, hold on to the gurney if you want. But I think that you see one of the handler that was holding the big saber cat back hands off the saber cat and, like, brings over a rope and, like, tosses it from a distance at your feet and, like, kind of grunts for you to pick it up as if it will lead you. Do any of you grab onto the rope?
Well, yeah, I guess I would.
Well, I mean, you don't have to because you can see. It's for the ones who are blind.
Yeah, I would. I don't. Also, I'm trying to be as...
Okay. Cool. So we see this very odd procession of...
We're doing whatever it is that these people want.
Yeah. We
That's
see
what
this
we're doing.
odd procession of these charred, blackened people walking through the tundra with Dr. Fisher holding onto a rope and Gogo kind of pushing this gurney, and Oscar, if you're holding onto the rope or holding onto the gurney, or maybe you're like, maybe Fisher like has your arm or something, so that you don't stumble and fall and hurt yourself. And it should be noted that, like, you can still kinda see, but you're obviously being watched very closely, so, like, if you go to, like, peek up a little bit, you'll probably be called out. Because the cloth is not, like, super dense or anything like that. It's kind of like looking through... It's kind of like opening your eyes underwater, unassisted. You can see, like, vague images and shapes in front of you and that kind of stuff. But I think that's...
He's not going to do anything to try and circumvent that.
And I think that's a great place. Well, actually, one more thing. You guys probably walk for about 30 minutes or so. And it's cold. It's freezing out here. The jackets that kept you warm back in the city are not doing their job here. And none of these people that are around you have anything but this kind of light tribal wear on. And so you're, like, progressively, like, losing body heat. But Gogo, you see as you kind of round this large hill, you see there is a village. And there's no, like, smoke rising or anything like that from the village, but it's basically a bunch of like carved ice buildings that are kind of arrayed in a general village-like scenario, and you can see that there is in the center of this village there's this long shard of ice that kind of sticks straight up, maybe 30 or so feet, so well above the rest of the buildings. And we see that, and then we fade to black. And that's it for today's session.
Well, we're not dead yet.
Yeah, we didn't die.
Congratulations, everybody, on not dying.
Fortune, you had your chance to just shoot that guy in the face over whiskey.
I know. But he didn't have his valiant arms rifle with him.
Also, shooting another Claris mercenary might not be great.
He had a valiant arms rifle. I don't care who he is.
Okay.
But
It's fine.
yeah, my work with him is not done, and I feel his work with me is not done. So we'll see each other again.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk experience. I think I gave out 750 last time, so let's do that again. Everybody gets 750 experience.
Nice.
Congratulations, everybody. Starting to ramp up a little bit.
Yeah.
Don't forget your goals. Don't forget to do your homework and think about what you're going to do next time.
Thinking about this is not necessarily going to help, but
yeah, true. Does anyone have any final thoughts or words?
We may be able to save Chanya.
The percentages have gone up slightly.
Yeah.
I'll say you're able to save a dead human being. I wouldn't exactly call him Chan.
Hey, if we manage to turn him into a zombie, then I research how to undo the zombification.
Then we're back to a dead human being, because Chan doesn't have much of a brain left.
Yeah, that's a problem.
So I have a quick question.
Yeah.
If I have 3 goals that are all the same thing,
Do you
and I
get triple?
achieve that goal, is that like a times 3? Or
Sure.
Is that like
I will also divide by
the
3,
third
though.
power?
I will take the goal, divide by 3, and then multiply it by 3.
I mean, that seems pretty cheap to me, but okay.
Yeah, it should be like Scrabble when you clear your board.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, right? Yeah.
All right. With that being said,
Chan is only 4 letters, though. So.
Aww.
it's true. And those isn't the H actually worth a decent amount? I think the H is worth like 5 or something like that. But anyway, I will talk to you all in a second or next week. I hope you enjoy your week, and latest we'll see you, latest we'll see you is next Sunday.
Absolutely.
Toodaloo, everybody.
Bye.
Alright, guys, on Twitch and on YouTube, hello. Thank you for being here. Really glad you could be. Had a lot of fun this session. Got a lot of crazy kind of tense moments in there, which I always love. If you're interested in the stuff I do, you can subscribe on YouTube, follow on Twitch. We do other RPGs. We do really me playing video games very poorly. If you like that, that's cool. We also play Dungeons & Dragons every Friday at 6 EST, and we play Stars Without Number every Sunday at 6 EST on Twitch. And if you want to check out the YouTube and follow that, Monday through Thursday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. VODs are posted in 1-hour segments for every episode we do on Fridays and Sundays. So it's everywhere. You can find it. Ha! Hooray! Hope everyone has a wonderful night. It's been great from all of us to you. May your checks always be successes. May your dice always roll high or low depending on the game system you're playing. And as always, try not to piss off try not to die. Toodaloo, everybody.